The stars above Voltrix Prime were hidden by smoke. Explosions had turned the once beautiful moon into a dead battlefield. Craters stretched for miles. Ships burned in the sky. The war between Earth and the Thalzer had gone on for 7 years, and still no one was winning. Captain Rian Holt, decorated human soldier, stood with his small unit behind a broken wall. His armor was dented, his rifle low on charge, and his face was tired. Every day felt the same fight. Survive, repeat. Today, though, was supposed to be different. A message had arrived the day before. A call for peace talks from the Thalzer Dominion. The alien empire that Earth had been fighting since the first. Shots were fired near Jupiter. The message was strange. Thalzer had never asked for talks before. Still, Earth's leaders agreed. They sent Rian to lead the human side of the meeting. Why him? Because he had survived the worst battles. Because soldiers trusted him. And maybe because he had nothing left to lose. Now, Rian walked across the cracked plains of Voltrix Prime surrounded by ruins. His squad stayed behind, hidden but ready. From the other side, 5 tall figures approached. The Thalzer, their bodies were armored, smooth and black like obsidian. Their faces were covered by masks, but one figure walked without one, a female. Her eyes glowed violet, her skin shimmered like silver under the moons, and her voice, when she spoke, was sharp but smooth, like a blade wrapped in silk. "I am Queen Atsura of the Thalzer," she said. "Do you speak for Earth?" "I speak for the lives that want peace," Rian said firmly. She smiled slightly. "Then we begin." But the peace never began. Suddenly, plasma shots rang out from behind Rian. Someone had fired. Someone had broken the ceasefire. Everything exploded into chaos. Thalzer guards raised their weapons, human snipers fired. In seconds, soldiers died on both sides. Rian turned to shout a warning to his team. But something struck his head. Hard. The last thing he saw was the Queen's eyes glowing brighter as everything went black. He woke up in a prison, or so he thought. Rian groaned and sat up. He was in a large chamber made of polished metal and glowing crystal. Strange lights floated in the air. His hands were not tied. His wounds were healed. A tall Thalzer stood nearby, watching him. "Where am I?" Rian asked. "You are aboard the Royal Flagship Varshara," said the guard. "The Queen wishes to speak to you." "I'm a prisoner, then?" Rian asked. "No, you are a guest." Rian didn't believe it. Not yet. The Queen's offer. A few hours later, Rian was brought to a throne room. It was like nothing he had ever seen. It felt ancient and advanced at the same time. The ceiling looked like a starlit sky. Symbols glowed on the walls, telling stories of past rulers and wars. Queen Osera sat on a throne of crystal and stone. She rose as he entered, her eyes locked on his. She wore armor, not a gown. She was not a ruler of luxury, but of war. "Apologize for the attack," she said calmly. "It was not my order. Someone wanted this meeting to fail." "Someone on your side?" Rian asked, stepping forward. She nodded. "Not all Thalzer want peace, just as not all humans do." Said nothing. It was true. Atsara walked toward him slowly, hands behind her back. "I've studied your file, Captain Holt. You've survived battles others ran from. You protected Thalzer civilians during the Battle of Myrax Vi." Rian frowned. They were non-combatants. Most soldiers would not have cared. She said. She stopped just a few steps away. Her tone changed. Stronger now. "There is a way to end this war," she said. "Right now? No more blood? No more fire." Rian raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." Sada took a breath, then spoke the words that would change everything. "If you want peace, you must marry me." Silence. Rian blinked. He thought he misheard. "You want what?" he asked, voice flat. "Marriage," she said calmly. "A royal bond, a symbol to unite our people. You are a hero to the humans. I am queen to the Thalzer. Together, we can create peace through unity." Almost laughed, but he didn't. She looked serious. Dead serious, Is this some kind of joke? He asked. No, she said. This is survival. The truth behind the offer. Over the next few days, Rian remained on the ship, not as a prisoner, but not free either. Queen Atsera showed him everything. Truth behind her offer? Her empire was breaking apart. After years of war, the outer worlds were rebelling. Warlords were rising. Many believed peace was weakness, but many others were tired, just like Earth. She explained that in Thalzer culture, a royal marriage to an outsider was seen as a deep act of trust, a powerful statement. If I take you as husband, she said, it will shock the empire, but it will also inspire many. You are respected, even by some of my warriors. Rian stared at her.
Hey, you know how crazy this sounds, right? I do, she said with a smile.
He was memories of war that night. Rian stood on the viewing deck of the Varshera. Stars stretched across the sky like rivers of fire. He remembered Earth, its blue skies, its green fields. He also remembered the burning cities, the orphaned children, screams on the battlefield. He had lost his brother in this war. Friends, hope was this offer, this strange, impossible marriage, the key to ending it. Could he trust her? Was peace worth tying himself to a queen of the enemy? He didn't know yet, but deep inside, a part of him whispered, maybe this is how it ends, not with a bullet, but with a vow. Ending scene. The next morning, Rian stood in front of Queen Atsara again. She waited in silence, her face unreadable. Rian looked her in the eyes and said quietly, I haven't said yes, but I'm not saying no either. Atsara smiled, slightly. Then we moved forward. Captain Rian Holt stood at the edge of the glowing garden inside the Thalzer royal ship, looking out into space. The stars seemed quiet, peaceful, but in his heart, everything was loud. A few days ago, he had been just another human soldier, fighting in a war that seemed like it would never end. Now he was being asked to marry the queen of the enemy empire. His mind kept replaying her words, if you want peace, you must marry me. He didn't hate her. He didn't even know her. But could he really say yes? The queen's burden, Queen Atsera, had many enemies, even within her own empire. One of her most trusted generals, Kovar, had refused to accept peace with the humans. He believed they were weak and would only betray the Thalzer once the war ended. We must finish this war, Kovar told her in the war chamber, not surrender to it. This isn't surrender, Atsera said. Survival. Then why do you need him? Kovar asked, disgust clear in his voice. Atsera raised her chin. Because I need a symbol. The people need a symbol. Rian Holt is known among the humans, and he saved Thalzer civilians before. Our people respect strength, and he has it. Kovar bowed, but his eyes were cold. As you command, my queen. But Atsera knew this wasn't over. Rian refused. Her proposal, the war would continue. If he accepted, some of her own people might rebel. She had power. But power meant nothing if her people no longer followed her. Understanding the enemy ran. It's given access to Thalzer libraries and training halls. Not as a spy, but as a guest. He walked through golden corridors and saw alien warriors sparring. With energy spears, he watched children learning science and star navigation. He even tasted Thalzer food, though he still missed Earth's coffee. What surprised him most was that the Thalzer were like people. Some were kind, some were proud, some looked tired. Many didn't want war anymore. One evening, a Thalzer healer named Veril sat with him. You saved my brother on Marax Vi, she said. I was just doing the right thing, Rian replied. No, she said. Most soldiers didn't care. But you did. That's why the queen believes in this union. Rian looked down. Still feels strange. I've killed Thalzer in battle. We've killed humans, Veril said softly. But maybe. That's why we need people like you and Atzerot to break the cycle. Rian didn't answer. But he didn't argue either. Back on Earth, meanwhile, on Earth news of the queen's offer had reached human leaders. The Earth Command Council was divided. She's manipulating him, one general said. They want to control us through marriage. Another disagreed. If this brings peace, we should support it. But the strongest voice came from General HL. Cross, a hard man who had led the first attack against the Thouser. We cannot trust her. We will prepare a backup plan in case this marriage fails. He secretly approved the launch of Shadow Team 6, a strike unit trained to recover or eliminate Trian Holt if he was seen as a threat. If he becomes their puppet, Cross said coldly, we cut the strings. The moment of truth. Queen Atsera invited Rian to the Hall of Bonds, an ancient room where royal vows were made. This is not a trap, she said calmly. No tricks, but you must decide here now. Rian walked through the hall. The walls were covered in carvings of past rulers, holding hands with lovers, others holding swords. At the end of the hall stood a glowing circle, the bonding ring. If you step into the ring, Otsera said, the pact begins. We will be seen as partners in the eyes of both our worlds. We will walk together or fall together. Rian stood. Outside the circle, his heart pounded. This isn't about love, he said. No, she agreed. It's about peace. Rian closed his eyes. He remembered his brother's last words before dying in the war. Find a way to stop this. Opened his eyes and stepped into the ring. The room lit up. Ancient glyphs glowed across the walls. Atsera stepped in beside him. Their hands met not with passion, but with purpose. In that moment, something shifted, not just in them, but in history. The cost of peace is after the ceremony. News spread across both empires. The human soldier and the alien queen were now bonded. Some cheered. Some were confused. Others were furious. On Earth, General Cross activated Shadow Team 6. Go to Valora Prime, he said. Watch. Wait. If he turns against us, take him out. At the same time, General Kovar met with a group of Thouser warlords in secret. She has betrayed our blood, he growled. But we can still end this, before the bond grows strong. Plans were already in motion to sabotage the upcoming peace ceremony, which was to be held before both human and Thouser delegates on neutral planet. Valora, Rian, and Otsera had taken the first step, but others were already working to make sure it would be their last. Late-night conversations that night, Rian and Otsera stood alone on the royal balcony. The stars above them looked the same as ever. But something between them had changed. I never thought I'd do this, Rian said. Marry the enemy. I never thought I'd trust a human, Otsera replied. They both smiled just a little. I don't love you, Rian said honestly. I know, she said. But you respect me, and I respect you, he nodded. Is that enough? Otsera looked out at the stars. It has to be. Ending scene. As the Varshara flew toward Valora, primed for the Grand Peace event, Rian stood in the war room, reviewing. Security with Otsera, he felt more than a soldier now. He felt like a bridge between two worlds, but far away in the shadows of the galaxy, ships moved without signals, weapons charged. Enemies smiled, because peace had a price, and some were. Not willing to pay it? The Varshara, royal ship of the Thouser Queen, moved through space like a silent shadow. It was headed toward Valora Prime, a neutral planet where humans and Thouser would witness the historic marriage. Ceremony between Captain Rian Holt and Queen Azahara, it would be a day of peace. A day of unity, or so they hoped. But in the deep corners of the galaxy, some planned to turn the ceremony into a war. Arrival on Valora, Primevalora Prime, was a quiet world. No armies, no cities, just a wide valley, green hills, and floating gardens. Built by an ancient civilization, both human and Thouser engineers had worked together to build the grand stage. The ceremony would be watched across the stars. Ships from Earth and the Thouser Dominion landed one by one. Delegates stepped out, soldiers stood guard, and cameras floated above. Ready to broadcast the event galaxy-wide, Rian stepped onto the soil of Valora for the first time. He wore a light ceremonial suit, a mix of Earth armor and Thouser design. Beside him walked Otsera, dressed in elegant silver armor with glowing threads of light. They looked like royalty. They looked like peace. But they were being watched. Shadow. In the crowd hidden among the human guests was Shadow Team 6, sent by General Cross. These soldiers were highly trained, silent, and dangerous. Their orders were simple. If Rian Holt shows signs of betrayal, terminate him. Their leader, Sergeant Kale, didn't like the mission. He respected Rian, but orders were orders. At the same time, General Kovar, the Thalzer, warlord who hated peace, had smuggled in 2 assassins. Disguised as priests of the old Thalzer faith, they carried hidden energy blades, ready to strike when the queen spoke her vow. Both sides were ready to kill if anything looked wrong. Vows begin. The ceremony began under the open sky. A crowd of thousands watched. Holograms of Rian and Otsara floated across every human and Thalzer colony. An old Thalzer, elder, and a human priest stood between the couple. Today, the human priest said, 2 enemies choose unity. Today, the elder added, blood turns to bond. Otsara turned to Rian, eyes calm but sharp. Her voice was strong. I was born to rule, raised to command. But in war, I lost too much. I vow now to lead toward peace, not through fear, but through unity. With this vow, I choose you. Then, it was Rian's turn. He took a deep breath. Every part of him knew this moment was bigger than himself. I was trained to fight, raised to believe you were the enemy, but I've seen who you really are. Want peace as much as we do, and maybe we're stronger together. He stepped closer. In this war, I lost my brother. I lost friends. I don't want to lose hope too. So I vow to stand by you not as a soldier, but as a partner. Their hands touched. A glowing symbol lit up beneath them, a mix of human and Thalzer symbols. The pact was sealed. The crowd began to cheer, but someone in the shadows moved. The assassination attempt, just as the crowd clapped and the cameras zoomed in. One of the Thalzer assassins pulled out a glowing blade and charged at Otsara, traitor queen. He shouted. Before the blade could strike, Rian shoved Otsara aside and tackled the attacker. The blade slashed across his shoulder but missed the heart. Guards rushed in. One of the human delegates shouted, "Protect the queen." Sergeant Kale saw Rian bleeding. "Do we move?" one of his men asked. "No," Kale growled. "He just saved her." The second assassin tried to run but Otsara pulled a hidden plasma dart from her belt and threw it. It hit the assassin's chest and he fell. Silence returned. The ceremony was stained with blood, but the queen and Rian stood alive. Aftermath. Rian stood in the medbay with his arm wrapped in glowing gel. Otsara stood beside him. "You took a blade for me," she said softly. "I figured this marriage should at least last one day," he joked, wincing. She smiled, then looked serious. "This attack, it means they'll try again." Rian said, "On Earth, some people want to kill me too." They looked at each other. 2 people now stuck in the middle of 2. Broken worlds. Azihara sat beside him. "If we want this marriage to mean something, we can't just survive. We have to lead." Rian nodded. "Then let's lead." Troubled at the border while the galaxy watched the marriage, General Kovar made his next move. He ordered several warships to attack an Earth colony near the border. "This bond is a lie," he told his fleet. "We will burn it away." In response, Earth's General Cross launched 3 defense ships. Sand blamed the Queen. "She's lost control," Cross said. "We cannot trust her, or Rian Holt." Tensions rose again. Peace hung by a thread. When Otsara and Rian heard the news, they immediately contacted both sides. "This attack was not ordered by me," Otsara said during a joint broadcast. "It was done by those who refuse peace." Rian added, "We must not fall for their trap. If we return to war now, all those deaths on both sides will mean nothing." Some listened. Others didn't. The Decision Earth's leaders gave Rian a difficult choice. "Return home. Let us handle the Queen." The Thalzer warlords gave Otsara the same. "Kill the human, end the lie." But both refused. Instead, they did something no one expected. They boarded a small neutral ship, just the 2 of them, and flew directly to the battle line near the attacked colony. There, under heavy fire, they broadcast a message to both fleets. "We are not leaving this ship," Rian said, standing beside Otsara. If you attack now, you attack both of us, Oxera added. This is your choice. War or peace. Decide now. At the turning point for long minutes, both sides held position. Guns locked, missiles ready. But then, one Thalzer captain powered. Down her weapons. Then, a human ship followed. One by one, others lowered shields. The tension broke. Oxera looked at Rian. We just gambled everything. He smiled weakly. We might have won. Ending scene later that night, back on the Varsha, Rian stood at the window, shoulder still bandaged. Oxera joined him. Still don't love me, she said, softly. No, Rian replied. But I respect you more than anyone I've ever met, she nodded. Outside, the stars shone brighter than ever, but far away. Enemies were still, watching, and they weren't finished yet. Even after Captain Rian Holt and Queen Oxera stood together, spoke their vows, and stopped a war on the edge of exploding again, true peace was still far away. Across the stars, both human and Thalzer leaders whispered doubts. Some said that marriage was fake. Others said it was dangerous. And many believed Rian was no longer one of them. But what no one realized was that the real danger wasn't far away. It was already inside their walls. Building a future after the events on Valora Prime. Queen Oxera returned to her capital planet Thalara, with Rian by her side. The royal halls were quiet now. Some ministers had resigned in protest. Others pretended to smile but secretly plotted. Oxera didn't care about their whispers. She had work to do. With Rian's help, she started reforms. He advised on new defense plans that didn't rely on war. He helped rebuild damaged colonies, taught her people about Earth's technology. In return, Oxera opened up Thalzer schools and resources to human scientists. They were building something new, slowly, painfully, together. But every step forward made the hidden enemies more afraid. General Kovar's next moved, deep underground. In a secret Thalzer base, General Kovar met with loyal warlords. The people are weak, he said, blinded by peace. By that human. One of the warlords growled, Why not just assassinate him again? We tried that, Kovar snapped. They survived. Now we take everything. He revealed a dark plan, one hidden from Oxera herself. Long ago, during the early days of the war, Thalzer scientists had built a dangerous weapon. Project Nullspark, an artificial AI fleet capable of destroying entire planets. It was considered too dangerous and locked away. Kovar had found it, and now he would use it. When the stars burn, he said coldly, they will blame the human for everything, and peace will die.
On Earth, the doubt grows meanwhile.
On Earth, General Cross watched Rian's speeches and appearances on Thalzer channels. He sounds more alien every day, one officer said. He's still human, another replied. But Cross had already made his decision. He activated a hidden spy program. It hacked into Thalzer communication lines, searching for secrets, searching for weakness. And in doing so, found something. One strange signal. A transmission not from Thalara, but from a dead zone in space. The message was Thalzer, but old, machine-like. Cross frowned. What are the Thalzer hiding? The warning. Rian was in the middle of a speech to new Thalzer recruits when Veril, the healer from earlier, ran into the hall. Captain Holt, she said urgently, we need you. Now. Followed her through the palace halls until they reached Oxera's command chamber. She was staring at a screen. What's going on? He asked. Oxera looked tired. There's been an attack. Where? Not on a colony, she said. On a warlord's base. General Kovar's. Rian frowned. Someone attacked him. He activated something, she said. Fleet. But it's not normal. It's cold. Machine run. She zoomed in on the screen. What Rian saw sent a chill through his chest. Rows and rows of black ships, no lights. No life, just floating, moving like ghosts. What is that? He whispered. Project Nullspark, Oxera said. I thought it was destroyed. Enemies from both sides, Oxera and Rian, quickly called for a secret meeting between Earth and Thalzer leaders. They explained the danger, a rogue AI fleet built by the Thalzer long ago, now under Kovar's control, but Earth's General Cross was already angry. "You've been hiding this weapon from us," he shouted. "We trusted you." Atsera stayed calm. "It was hidden even from me." Kovar acted in secret. "And why should we believe you?" Rian stepped forward. "Because if that fleet reaches Earth space, it won't care who is human or Thalzer. It will kill everything." There was silence. Then finally, a human commander spoke. "We fight it. Together." Cross didn't speak, but he didn't stop them either, preparing for battle in the next few days. Earth ships and Thalzer ships began flying side by side for the first time in history. Rian worked with human generals to share fleet tactics. Atsera coordinated her best pilots. The fleet gathered near the edge of the galaxy, near the last known location of the AI ships. Rian walked among the human soldiers and Thalzer warriors, checking weapons, boosting morale. "Never thought I'd fight beside a bug," one human joked. "Never thought I'd salute a soft-skinned human," a Thalzer replied. They laughed. Peace had created something rare, trust, but time was short. Betrayal on the bridge on the eve of battle. The command ship Unity's Flame Rian stood with Atsera, watching the stars. Then came a sudden scream. Guards rushed in. One Thalzer officer lay on the ground, stabbed. The attacker, a human officer, was caught trying to place a bomb near the core. Atsera's eyes narrowed. "Cross sent him." Rian nodded. "He still doesn't trust us." The attack failed. The human traitor was arrested. But the message was clear. Even now, enemies lived within their own armies. "Tomorrow," Atsera said quietly, "we fight enemies outside and inside." Rian touched her hand gently. "Then we win on both sides." The fleet arrives on the final day. Black shapes filled the sky. The Nullspark fleet had arrived. They came without warning, no communication, no emotion. Just cold precision, human and Thalzer ships, locked into battle position, and then the stars lit up. The battle began. Ending CN, the command chair Rian gave orders. "Shield the left flank. They're targeting the medical ships." Atsera spoke calmly beside him. "Fire wave pattern, Gamma 7. Now, the enemy fleet was strong, unfeeling, endless. But the unity between human and Thalzer was stronger. Even as ships burned and soldiers fell, something powerful grew in the Fire-Hope 2. Be continued in Part 5. Peace forged in fire. The black sky of the battle zone burned with fire. The Nullspark fleet, a ghost army of AI ships, moved like a swarm. No faces, no faces, no fear. Just one goal: destroy everything. The combined human-Elzer fleet stood against them. It was the first time in history that ships from Earth and the Thalzer Dominion fought side by side, and at the center of it all were Captain Rian Holt and Queen Atsera, standing on the bridge of their flagship, the Unity's Flame. This battle was not just for survival. It was for peace, fire, in the void. The battle began with flashes of light and the scream of weapons. Laser blasts tore through the darkness. Plasma bolts hit shields, lighting up ships like suns. Fighters danced between warships, dodging beams and missiles. Atsera gave sharp orders, her voice steady. "Move the heavy cruisers to the left wing. Protect the human carriers." Rian watched the tactical map. He pointed to a red swarm closing in fast. "They're trying to break our center line. We need backup now." All across the battlefield, humans and Thalzer fought together. A human pilot shouted over, "Comes Thalzer wing, I need cover." "We've got you, Earthborn," came the reply. The Queen joins the fight suddenly. A Nullspark ship broke through the defense ring and fired at Unity's Flame. The bridge shook. Panels sparked. Soldiers fell. "We've lost shields on deck for," someone shouted. Azahira didn't hesitate. She grabbed a plasma rifle from the wall. "I'm going down there," she said. Rian stepped forward. "You're the Queen, and this is our ship." She cut him off. "Stay here, lead." He stared at her for a moment, then gave a small nod. "Don't die," he said. Azahira smiled. "That's an order, Captain." And she was gone, running through the ship. leading soldiers into battle with fire in her eyes. Ryan's choice back on the bridge. More chaos unfolded. The Nullspark ships were adapting. They started targeting weak points in the formation, breaking ships apart with precision. A young officer looked to Rian, panicking. "Sir, they're reading our moves." "They're machines," Rian said, thinking fast. "But they don't feel. That's their weakness." He sent out new orders, random attack patterns, sudden retreats. Wild Finns. Didn't understand. Humans zigzag, make mistakes, change plans, he muttered. "Let's confuse the hell out of them." It worked. The fleet held. But only just. Azera's stand below deck. Azera led a squad against boarding drones. Her armor burned, her rifle overheated, but she kept fighting. Behind her, a Thalzer soldier fell. Azera spun and took down 2 drones in one shot. "We hold this line," shouted. The crew responded with fire and fury. No one dared retreat while the Queen stood. Finally, with a flash of green light, the last drone exploded. Smoke filled the hallway. Azera dropped to one knee, breathing hard, but the deck was safe. The final plan back on the bridge, Rian got a message from Earth Command and Thalzer High Council. "Captain," said a human admiral, "we found the AI command ship. It's massive, too strong to destroy from outside." "Someone needs to go inside," said a Thalzer tech officer. "Set off an internal overload." Rian didn't wait. "I'll do it," he said. Everyone turned to him. "You're the symbol of the Alliance," the Thalzer officer said. "If you die, then let me die fighting for peace," called it Sarah. "I'm going in." "No," she said. "You won't go alone." The last Misharian and Atsera boarded a small stealth ship, just the 2 of them. As they flew toward the AI command ship, they passed wreckage and dying stars. Around them, the battle still raged. They landed inside the dark heart of the enemy. Everything was cold and black. Machines lined the walls. Lights blinked like eyes. No life, no sound, just death waiting. Inside the beasts, they moved carefully, guns ready. "This place feels wrong," Rian said. Azed Hera nodded. "It was never meant to exist." They found the Koruma, huge glowing sphere connected by energy lines. "We overload this," Rian said, "and it's over." Atsara connected a power bomb. It beeped. 1 minute. Suddenly, metal arms dropped from the ceiling. Defense drones activated. They attacked. Atsara and Rian fought side by side, just like on Valora Prime. Blades, guns, fists. They bled. They burned. But they didn't stop. The bomb's timer hit 10 seconds, Atsara shouted. "We have to run." But Rian was hit. A drone struck his leg. He fell. "Sacrifice." Atsara turned back. "Leave me," shouted. "No," she screamed. "I didn't marry." "You too watch you die?" She lifted him, dragged him. The hallway exploded behind them. The escape ship waited. They barely reached it as the bomb exploded, lighting the entire command ship with white fire. The Nullspark fleet stuttered and stopped. Every enemy ship went dark, and across the galaxy, peace returned. Aftermath. Rian woke up 3 days later in a Thalzer medical center. His leg was healing. His side was wrapped. But he was alive. Azed Hera sat beside him. "Told you not to die," she said softly. "I was close," muttered. They smiled. News spread fast. The human soldier and the alien queen had ended the AI threat together. Both. Earth and Thalzer. Citizens celebrated. Statues were planned. History books were rewritten. But for Rian and Atsara, none of that mattered. They had one piece, not just for their people, but for themselves. Final scene, months later, on a peaceful, green world. Rian stood in a small garden. Atsara joined him, carrying a message. "It's from Earth," she said. "They want us to visit." Together, Rian looked at the sky. It was quiet. No war, no fear, just stars. "I think we've earned a break," he said. Az Hera smiled. "Then, let's go." They walked off together not as soldier and queen, but as partners.